Okay, we're on. Good morning. Good to be here, Alan, with our drop-in Friday meditation, coming to you live from Vajrayana Institute. So first, I was just listening to some online teachings from Robert Thurman, who's part of this. There's a collection of teachings from His Holiness the Dalai Lama's office that have a collection of great teachers, including His Holiness, over about 5 or 6 days. I think they're still online available. It's been going this week. So Robert Thurman, who's very accomplished senior student or teacher than student, Tibetan Buddhism, probably the first or one of the first Westerners to be ordained in the Tibetan tradition. So he was talking about meditation. First of all, he's talking about the meaning of meditation, and I've forgotten what the Sanskrit word is. Anyone remember? Probably not. But he says the translation is remembering. Motivation is remembering. But like me, he says that he didn't really quite understand why that word was used for translating, because usually we remember something that's happened in the past, whereas meditation is something happening in the present. So he says he uses the translation, remembering, to remember to be mindful. So remember what we're doing now, which I think is much more sort of accurate. It's what we're doing, remembering what we're doing right now. So he gives examples of we're reading something, and suddenly our mind, we're still reading. Part of our mind's still reading, but actually something else has crept in, and we're actually distracted. And we get to the end of what we're reading, and we actually haven't remembered. We haven't been present. So we might have to read it again. Sometimes we don't even notice that. We think we've read it and we haven't. So it's about remembering what we're doing now, remembering to be mindful. So the good point he made was putting a motivation to our mindfulness practice, particularly mindfulness breathing practice. So as we've seen before, the breath practice, mindfulness of the breath, is actually neutral. It's not either virtuous or non-virtuous. It's not neither dharma or non-dharma, unless we give a positive motivation to it. So if we just use the breath to calm down and to settle the mind, that's a good thing to be calm, but it doesn't actually make it a spiritual practice. So he says he's got a really interesting way of making the motivation positive. He says we can think of our breath as taking in all the oxygen, the good air from all the plant worlds, all the plants and trees that produce this oxygen. And we're breathing that in, and then we're breathing out our stale, bad air, and the trees are actually taking that in and converting into oxygen. So quite a nice way of thinking that connection with the natural world, plant world. And so he actually suggests this wonderful phrase. He says, so when we're breathing in, we can, to help our concentration, thank you breathing in, thank you breathing out. Thank you breathing in, thank you breathing out. So when we're saying that, we're keeping in mind that kindness of the plants giving us the oxygen and taking the carbon dioxide. And the other thing we can remember, he said, is just the kindness of all beings. And we'll do that as the second practice today, all beings. Actually, we need living beings to practice compassion, patience, non-anger. We need someone out there to be able to practice all these things that we need to develop our own minds and become liberated and enlightened. So maybe today we'll just try that, just see how it goes. Thank you, breathing in. Thank you, breathing out. From at least 10 breaths. And if you find it's helpful, you can keep it going. But that will sort of, just the word thank you has that sort of vibration of gratitude, thinking, appreciation. Okay, so just those words, thank you, breathing in, thank you, breathing out. I thought it was a fantastic suggestion. Okay, so we'll give that a go. So that's, and we'll also perhaps start with the 9-round breathing practice, and also after, I'll give you the option of moving from the breath meditation to thoughts meditation, where we look at the mental consciousness. And that's an option. Don't think you have to move from the breath to the thoughts, but it's actually just another object that we can use for our practice. What's going on in the mind, the mental events. So the skill is not getting involved with what's going on in the mind, just seeing it there, seeing that thought come in, memory, visualization. It could be what happened yesterday, what we're going to do the next hour. So you just see what the thought is and then let it go. That's the skill, rather than getting caught up with it. Just noticing the thought. And even Alan Watts sometimes says it can help to not completely let go of the breath, but just have part of the mind on the breath while you're looking at the thoughts, being ready to go back to the breath if you get all tangled up with the thoughts. If the thoughts are too powerful, just going back to that like a life buoy, the life vest that you can hold on to. So the breath is always so physical, so noticeable, whereas the thoughts can be hard to actually identify sometimes. Okay, so let's get comfortable. Okay, now we come into our inner world. What's happening with our body and what's happening in the mind. So we start with our 9-round breathing practice, which is just basically breathing in 3 times through the right nostril and out through the left, 3 times in through the left, out through the right, and 3 times in through both, out through both. And the option is using a finger to block the breath we're not using, or just visualize. Okay, let's start 3 times in through the right, out through the left. 3 times in through the left, out through the right. 3 times in through both, out through both. And then back to normal breathing. And just checking our state of mind, a moment to appreciate the great privilege we have being able to just do 1 hour's practice meditation together. Just taking care of our mind for this 1 hour, being kind to our mind, returning our mind to its natural state. not having too many expectations of our practice. Thinking we're doing our practice not just for our own benefit, but to help those around us in our immediate world. Our state of mind will affect those around us. And also ultimately to benefit all living beings. And remembering that it's through the kindness of living beings that we can do the practice. The kindness of the universe that we can breathe. Take in oxygen, breathe out carbon dioxide. Then, beginning with our body, we start to just make sure we're comfortable. Checking our posture. Back reasonably straight, shoulders relaxed. Eyes closed or just gently open. With each out-breath, we can imagine we're letting go physically. All the tension in the body or the holding on in the body. The gentle force of gravity we surrender to, surrendering to the earth. And then more and more we give our attention to the breath. The full flow of the in-breath, full flow of the out-breath. Just watching if we can give our full attention to one full in-breath, one full out-breath. It's through the kindness of the plant world that we can breathe in oxygen and out, breathe out carbon dioxide. So we can think of the words, thank you, breathing in, thank you, breathing out with each breath. A feeling of appreciation to being able to do this practice. Thanks to the environment, the world, the plant world, and thanks to all living beings. Thank you, breathing in. Thank you, breathing out. Saying it to yourself at least 10 times. Staying mindful of what we're doing right now. Mindful of the breath. Remembering to stay alert for distractions. Noticing when we've lost the breath. And then relaxing, it's just a thought, just a distraction, let it go. Patiently come back to the breath. Thank you, breathing in. Thank you, breathing out. Staying with the mindfulness of the breath as the object, or the option of gently letting go of the breath, or partly letting go of the breath, and moving to watching the thoughts entering the mind, mental consciousness. What's happening in the mind? Allowing the thoughts to come in, seeing them, identifying them, maybe giving them a name, and then letting them go. Thoughts are welcome to come in, thoughts are welcome to go out. Or else just staying with the breath. Thank you, breathing in, thank you, breathing out. Just checking, seeing how we're going. Are we still on the object, the thoughts, or the breath? Making any adjustments, and then coming back to mindfulness. Just relax, have a stretch.
No planes flew over.
What's that?
No jets flew over.
No. It's eerie. Should we be worried? It's all part of the pandemic, really. And the wind, of course. Depends on which way the wind's going. So, how was the thank you giving, breathing in, breathing out? Anyone try it?
Yeah,
It's quite useful, I think.
yeah.
It's a kind of a simplified version of Tonglen, where you're using the breath to breathe in the difficulties of others and breathing out our happiness. So, simplified version of that, really. Using the breath to carry positive thoughts.
I remember Thich Nhat Hanh, and he quoted something about, he said that we think that life's in the thinking, but it's actually in the breath, you know. So you sort of take your life for granted, don't you?
Yes, exactly. Yes, his meditations are really very much breath and gratitude and very nicely simple, beautiful. He's a great teacher. So just on the theme of gratitude, so the next one is recalling the kindness of others, of all beings, sentient beings. So this is, I think we've done this one before, but it's one of Shantadeva's meditations where you go through and think of all the things that we enjoy, our food, clothing, shelter, all these requirements all happen, they're all available because of the kindness of others. So it's just a good way of complementing the sense of gratitude when we're doing our mindfulness. Thank you, breathing in, thank you, breathing out. Why? So this is sort of explaining, giving reasons to be grateful. So it's very powerful. Just a little, Lama Yeshe gives a little good introduction on this. And he says, you can begin to develop extraordinary love by recognizing that every happiness and benefit you've ever experienced has come from others. When you were born, you came from your mother's womb with nothing. Your parents gave you clothes, milk, care, and attention. And now that you've grown, you've clothes and many other things. Where do they come from? They came from the effort of other sentient beings. So maybe you think it's because you have money that you've got this happiness, but you can't wear money. If other people hadn't made the fabric, you wouldn't have any clothes. The cake and chocolate you enjoy is also the result of others' effort. If they hadn't put effort into making the cake, you wouldn't have any. It's the same with all your other samsaric enjoyments. Everything comes from other sentient beings, from other people giving it to you. Without receiving the continual kindness of others, you'd find it impossible to live. So it's quite a simple meditation. We just start off with the body, came from the parents, was nurtured by the parent. We look at things like education, money, clothes, food, shelter, all enjoyments. And then we even look at our human life. The fact that we were born in a human body was because we practiced compassion and kindness in the past, and for that we needed other beings to practice kindness, compassion toward. So, and even it comes right down to enlightenment. We wouldn't have enlightenment without compassion of others, because we need to practice with others to develop compassion. We wouldn't have Buddha without others, because Buddha mind came from compassion, which depends on others. So we actually just go through each of these points, just stay with it for a few moments to help it absorb into our mind stream. It's just a way of developing our sense of gratitude, appreciation. Very good. Okay, so let's just try it. Getting comfortable. Coming into our breath for a few moments. If it helps, using that technique of saying thank you, breathing in, thank you, breathing out, to all beings, to the universe at large. So we begin our meditation on reflecting on the kindness of others by starting with our human body. Our human body came from our parents. From the moment we were born, we received care from our parents, milk from the mother, constant looking after, protection. Parents went through so much hardship, giving up so much of their own pleasures and money and time to look after us. Took us to the dock when we were sick, taught us how to eat and look after ourselves. Sent us to school, constant worry, constant concern, constant love and affection from the parents. If not the parents, then someone, a figure in our life who looked after us. Our education, parents sent us to school, and at school we received our learning, our education from our teachers. The kindness of our teachers who patiently taught us the alphabet. To enable us to read and write. Through our infant schooling, primary schooling, high schooling, perhaps thinking of a particular teacher who may have been particularly kind, inspiring, motivated us. All our mundane education came from our teachers. Can think of our spiritual education also coming from our spiritual teachers. We met the Dharma. Some ordained, some Sangha, some lay people, some just friends who taught us spiritual things, even without a formal spiritual setting, right from wrong, how to lead a good life. Spiritual guides. Then having money to buy things we need came from those who employed us in our work, paid us. The kindness of those who gave us work. Then thinking of our clothing, we wear clothes, we need clothes. Most of us don't sew. The kinds of those who grow the cloth, grow the cotton, the animals that grow the wool. Animals who die, they give us clothing. Those who make the clothes, often in very difficult conditions, poorly paid. Appreciating the kindness of those who provide our clothing. Similarly with our food, we eat, but we don't grow our own food. We rely on others, kindness of others to grow the food. Thinking of a bowl of rice, where it came from, hardship of those working in the field, harvesting the food, bringing it to market, packaging, putting it on the shelf, selling it to us. Those who died in the production of the food, the living beings, including all the insects, feeling gratitude for those who produced our food. Thinking similarly with our shelter, our housing. We need shelter, but we don't build our houses. We depend on others, the skill of others to build the house, maintain the house. Tradespeople who fix the house, paint the house, maintain it. Appreciating the kindness of those who provide our housing, our shelter. Then moving to our non-physical enjoyments, such as being complimented or praised by our friends, those who like us, having a good reputation, receiving love and affection from others, all come from the kindness of others, other beings. Then looking beyond this life, how we obtain this perfect human body, depended on cause and conditions, depended on practicing ethics, patience, generosity, wisdom. All these qualities, we needed other sentient beings to practice these qualities. We depend on others to create the causes of this human body. Similarly, the happiness of future lives, future human rebirths. To have that, we need to create causes. We need to practice the 10 virtues, abandoning the 10 non-virtues. Ethical conduct all depends on other beings. The kindness of other beings help create the causes of future positive lives, auspicious rebirth. Similarly, if we want to leave all rebirths, cyclic existence, we need to be liberated. The happiness of liberation from cyclic existence depends on practicing ethics, concentration, wisdom, precepts, or we need other beings, other sentient beings. All these positive virtues need other beings to obtain liberation. Same within full enlightenment. We need great compassion to reach full enlightenment, Buddhahood. Great compassion means cherishing every sentient being. Practicing the 6 perfections all require sentient being. Appreciating the kindness of sentient beings is the cause of Buddhahood, of enlightenment. Without sentient beings, there'd be no Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, no refuge. Buddha achieved enlightenment by cherishing sentient beings. By cherishing sentient beings, we can attain Buddhahood. Without sentient beings, no Buddhahood. So the conclusion is that sentient beings have been kind, not only in this life, but countless past lives. All sentient beings have been our mothers in countless past lives. Sentient beings are the source of all our happiness, an inexhaustible field for accumulating merit and virtue. Therefore, it's only right we serve them, cherish them, hold them dear. Feeling thankfulness, breathing in, thankfulness, breathing out. So finally, we just recite Lama Zopa's dedication for the pandemic. However many sick sentient beings there are, may they quickly be freed from all sickness. May all the sickness without exception of transmigrating beings never occur again. Due to all the merits of 3 times collected by me, the numberless Buddhas, numberless sentient beings, may all wars, sickness, famine, torture, poverty, economic problems in the world, or dangers of earth, water, fire, and wind be pacified immediately. May perfect peace and happiness prevail in everyone's hearts and lives. May the Buddha Dharma last for a long time, and may sentient beings in the world meet the Buddha Dharma and achieve enlightenment as quickly as possible. Dedicating to that. Okay, thanks so much for being here and being out there if you're in Cyberland. Have a great day, great week. Hope to see you next time, same time. Next week, same time. Thanks.